Oh my God, what happened to Chunkz? It's been a minute since I've done that intro. Well, Chunkz has been receiving some backlash on Twitter after a clip from the podcast that he did with Chip on Chip's new show, What's Your Mo, episode 4, Big Up Chip, where he's asked what it would take for him to disown his child. And I'm just going to show you guys the clip.
Ooh. One thing that'll make you disown your child.
Boy, if I could forgive a lot, you know, when it comes to my own youth.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous like murdering his own mother.
Man.
Something mental.
Yeah.
Leaving the religion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's big drip. You can't do that on there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it'd have to
like
be
if he said if he wanted to leave, not be Muslim, you'd disown him.
Yeah, I would say, yo, that can't run for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
like, as in, don't get twisted.
Child.
Don't get twisted. You can leave it, but you can also come back. You get it?
Yeah.
But I feel like leaving
While
the
you're
fold
out,
of Islam,
yeah.
I can't part with you, man. You know what I mean? Like I know I'll always have that unconditional love where I see the youth and if I see him in a pass, I'm always going to try and stop it. But I feel like having that want to love this person without being under the fold of Islam, I can't part with that, man.
Cool. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Okay. Now, as someone who's mostly got Muslim friends, yeah, most of my friends are Muslim, I get what you're saying. I feel like that question was a little bit of a draw out. But at the same time, Chunkz, it was one thing. Chunkz could have just said, given a boring answer. But now he's being honest, you know? And we love Chunkz, man. We love Chunkz. But I think Chunkz is going to have to start giving the podcast appearances a little bit of a rest, man. Because he's held under so much scrutiny, bro. Anything he says wrong, anything he does, bro, it's like, I hate Chunkz, this, da. And even in the podcast, they do talk about how comments in the UK, like hate comments, are a lot more hatey in the UK. Hatey, you know, what the frick am I saying? But we're in the Western world, Babylon, as my uncle would call it. We're in a kind of progressive society. It feels like we're kind of regressing a little bit. And Chunkz has influence over a lot of young kids. You know, I was in an Uber the other day, was talking, that Uber driver was blessed, was talking. I told him what I do. I said, I do YouTube and that. He's like, do you know Chunkz? Oh yeah, man. Like, he's talking about Beta Squad. He didn't know their names and he called his daughter and his daughter's like, like, you know, them cab journeys where it's like, brother, really? Do you have to do this? But he just wanted to clarify. But he said his daughters, like, they love Beta Squad, you know, they really do. So it makes sense why he's receiving a little bit of backlash from this. I'll even show you guys before I attack this, before I give you guys my full perspective on this, I'll show you guys what I tweeted to the clip, because I went and watched the entire podcast. Well, I went through the entire podcast and it took me a long time to find it. So Chip, please, timestamps in the future. And I would recommend that you get another host, Chip, because you are a very cold rapper. You are a UK GOAT. There is a lot that people would like to know about you as well. So I feel like having someone else there would have just made this podcast, it would have leveled it up big time. Because there are parts of it where, you know, it's like, Chip, let the guest talk, you know, and Chip's obviously, Chip's obviously got a lot to say. Chip obviously is on his channel. He wants to say what he wants to say. But the viewers, when it's podcasting and you're interviewing someone, you have to let the guest speak. Maybe Lawrence. What's that guy that used to be with True Geordie and was with Chunkz? Yeah, get Lawrence, bro. Get Lawrence on here, bro. That'd bang. My initial response to the quote tweet that said, people like this shouldn't have children, I said, imagine disowning your child for making their own decisions. And the top quote, oh damn, well, these are the quotes on me. Tankz, stick to talking about drill artist, gang. You can't tell a grown man how to handle his family life. It's his personal opinion. It absolutely is. Slavery was a choice. Wow. Okay, what the hell? I clicked on the wrong thing. People are going on me. Damn, they can make their own decisions. I can. Okay, we're split here. I like these discussions though. I like these discussions because they're discussions that need to be had. But I wanted to check the top quotes. Non-Muslims trying to get involved in Islamic discussions. 100% I hear that, because as I said, most of my brethren are Muslim and they would say something similar to this, you know, because religion is something that they just can't pass on. You know, it's more of a deal breaker, you know. It is a deal breaker for a lot of Muslims, bro. Whereas me, I'm obviously, you guys can see I'm a Catholic, but if she's not Catholic or if my children don't want to be Catholic, like, this wouldn't even cross my mind disowning them. Even one of my day ones, when I say day ones, like my boy from year 3 came to school, he came to my primary school, he was a new guy in year 3. We didn't like each other at first, but he has been my brethren for life. You know, he is my brethren for life. He's from Iraq. Obviously, he's Muslim. Like 2-3 years ago now, his daughter's getting old, man. It's crazy. But like 2-3 years ago, he got married, and his wife is Jamaican. And they got married, you know, and they did it discreetly, which, you know, that's something I'd want to do with my autistic self. I'd like to get married discreetly. Or do we want to get married at all? How does marriage benefit men? Let me know in the comments section below, man. Red pill! Red pill! Fresh and Tankz. That's what we're doing over here, bruv. Tankz Samuels, bro. That's what we're doing over here. But I asked him if his wife converted, and he just gave a blunt, like, of course. Like, you know, kind of like, if she didn't convert, we wouldn't be married, you know? And a lot of my achis are like that. But at the same time, a lot of my achis are doing the same things that I'm doing. You know, they're gambling. I've been gambling a lot recently. Not good. Drinking alcohol, doing drugs, sex before marriage. I mean, all of who hasn't done that, you know? We live in the Western world. We are products of our environment, and everybody is on their own journey with God. You know, only you know your relationship with God, you know? But Chunkz was put on the spot with this question because what he said really doesn't make sense. He said he would disown his child if they left his religion, but he would still love them unconditionally. But the people I love unconditionally, you know, my immediate family, I love them for who they are, you know, and the decisions that they make is who they are. So if your child makes a decision to not follow the same religion as you, that is who they are. And if you don't love them for that, if your love is taken away because of that, then it's not unconditional love. But I do think the tweet has been taken the wrong way, as I think I've said. I'm just going to reiterate that. And we need to remember Chunkz is obviously Mali, Somali. I say Mali. Hopefully I don't offend anyone. That's just, I call every Mali I know, I call them Malis, bro. The Malis. That's what we say. You can call me Jalil. If you're offended, you can say I'm a Jalil. I don't care. I am a Jalil. I don't take offense to that. But most Somalis I know, they're talking about marriage from young, you know, and Chunkz did quit music to get closer to his religion. So religion is clearly, you know, a big part of his life. For a lot of Muslims, religion is a big part of their lives. I have many Muslim brothers who obviously were born into it, grew up Muslim, that all have the same attitude, kind of like, you know, you mad? Like, come on, we're Muslims. And from what I've seen, anyone who, you know, comes from a loving, you know, just a normal Muslim home is not likely to ever leave Islam. You know, they're not likely to ever leave it because they wouldn't have much reason to leave it. The only reason I could think they would have to leave the religion would be if they're gay, you know, if they're part of the LGBT community. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but how it looks to me is that is, you know, you can't, it doesn't work, bro. You know what I mean? That's how it looks to me. If I asked every Muslim I knew, they'd probably say the same thing, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know a lot of people. I don't talk to a lot of people, but maybe I do. I mean, I have, yeah, you guys get what I'm saying, innit? But I'm not forgetting about the people who just come from extreme religion households, you know, whether it be Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, you know, like their whole family, you know, is very, very religious. Like they practice things, you know, like really no sex before marriage. Really, you can't do this. Really, you can't do that, or you're going to be ostracized. I think that situation is different, but I don't feel like Chunkz would be that type of parent. But I don't know Chunkz. I'm just making an assumption here based off of what I'm seeing online, or based off of what I've seen of Chunkz' personality online. For example, I don't think he would disown his daughter if she didn't want to wear a hijab. You know, that's a common thing you see, especially in the Western world. Even when I made my video on Anija Robinson, you remember the lady from the United States of America who thought she was flying to Pakistan to have a relationship with a guy from Pakistan, but he was too young, not too young like that, but his parents stopped the marriage from happening or something like that. And then she ended up going to Dubai. She was like going viral in Pakistan, like talking to news networks and stuff. She wasn't really mentally stable. Apparently she's got the help she needs now. You know, apparently she's good. Her mental health is in check, which is, thank God. I Googled, do women in Pakistan have to wear a hijab? And then, you know, a bunch of Pakistanis in the comments corrected me saying, no, that's not the case. Because in the video, when she was in Pakistan, I'm seeing a bunch of women without hijabs. I thought, oh, it's a Muslim country. You have to wear hijabs, but you don't. But for the people saying people like this shouldn't be fathers, you know, come on. He still said he would care, you know, and I don't know if he's had a kid or not. We need to remember Chunkz' wedding did get leaked. There were photos of his wife that ended up getting leaked, you know, and as somebody who values his privacy clearly, you know, that's not cool. So, you know, if he does have a kid or if he does have a child right now, I wouldn't be surprised if he was keeping it private. But that is the only thing I can think of that would make someone leave their religion. In Chunkz' case, leave Islam. That's not a religiously extreme household. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If any of you guys watching have some stories to tell, I would love to hear them in the comment section below because it's interesting, you know? Because in my family, religion is important, but it's not a deal breaker. And I think what Chunkz needs to keep in mind as well is that, bro, like, you are a very famous guy. Like, it's very likely that your kids are going to see these old podcasts, you know, these things, all these times you talking, when they grow up, you know, maybe when they're in their developing years, they're going to see this and it might scare them into not being open with you, you know? You never know. In this world, you never know, bro. Because in the culture, bro, like, you know, homophobia is rife. You know, people obviously, you know, wife for that, this, that, bro. But at the same time, you never know. But then it comes down to, do people think you're born with it, or do people think this? It's I don't know, man. This is a difficult conversation, innit? You know, but I think I handled it well. If I didn't, I don't know. I'm not afraid to have these conversations. I really want to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. Chung Lee, what do you think? Chung Lee says, I don't really care. It's just the fact that he has influence on children and didn't word what he wanted to say properly, that it can be taken the wrong way and that people aren't going to be happy with him. And that if it wasn't Chunkz, if he wasn't as famous, people wouldn't care. And you're right about that, Chung Lee, man. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone's entitled to raise their kids however they want to raise their kids. I mean, traditions and, you know, customs are the reason why we do things, certain, why families, our families, your family will do certain things that other families don't do. And it's part of the reason why we're all here. If our families didn't do a certain custom, maybe our parents wouldn't have met and maybe we wouldn't be here. The chances of all of us even being here right now is very, very low. The chances of us existing is very, very low. Everybody give yourself a pat on the back for existing. We're here. We're living, bro. If you got a roof over your head and you got food, bro, be blessed. Be blessed. Be very blessed, bro. Just like, I know sometimes, especially if you're living in London, you know what I mean? It can get sometimes overwhelming, like, oh man, this going on, that, I need to do this, I need to do that, bro. Sometimes just sit back and breathe and realize, bro, I'm here, I'm living, I got time, you know, give thanks to God, all right? Give thanks to God, thank God that you're here, man. And if you're atheist, bro, just leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Peace and love to every single one of you guys watching. Thank you very much.